Good afternoon. My name is Brian. I'm with the Securities guys. I've been running webinars for several years now, and with the current situation, I felt that it might be useful for me to share some of my knowledge and experience with other people. The way I'm recording this now is actually different than I normally do. I am trying to record my desktop so you can actually see the Zoom interface as we're going through. Right when you're starting, this is how it's basically going to start. And at the bottom here, and I'm going to show this again during my presentation, you've got this share button. And you just click on that. It's going to take you to the options for where you want to share. I do have two screens. That's why this has the one up here. It says screen one. I generally will share screen. I don't have a lot of experience necessarily with sharing specific windows, but it's basically going to be the same effect. But I'm going to share my screen, which has clearly my PowerPoint behind me, as many of you might have when you guys are sharing your screen. You're doing a PowerPoint presentation. So now we're in the PowerPoint. You just go down here and you click on the begin presentation. That's going to go to full screen. You can have these videos. You can move them. A lot of people watching this are not actually seeing what I'm doing right now, but those little squares of videos, you can actually move them to different sizes to get them out of the way. So if you're a student or client or prospect or recruit or whatever is having concerns because they can't see the screen, they can move them. There are also these four buttons up here. One of them is going to just get rid of the video altogether. It's going to tell you who's talking sometimes. There it goes. It says that I'm talking here. You can go to this one, which is only going to show my video because I'm the one talking. The default is whoever's talking's video is going to be there. You do have the capability to pin it so that only your video is there if you're the host. This next bar here is actually breaking it down to where you can show all of the videos in a vertical way. This one's actually new. This show grid video is relatively new, and oh, there it goes. So apparently we can, can I resize it and see more students? Oh, that's neat. Oh, that could be useful. I'll put that on my second desktop. But you may want to have your students do this small active speaker just so it's out of the way. That's what I'm going to do so I don't record a lot of what my students are doing on their screen. So some basic ideas on how to better use Zoom. As I mentioned, I am with the Securities guys. We can help you pass your Securities exams. Between Jeff and I, we have over 15 years of webinar experience. We are the original webinar instructors. There are certain compliance issues that I want to make sure that I go through. Let me actually move my video so it's not going to cover the title. There are certain compliance rules that I do have, and obviously that some of my people here may have as agents or representatives. But the ones that I have to follow are not quite the same as what you guys have to follow. Make sure that you do follow all compliance rules of your specific broker-dealer. My compliance rules include the one where I'm not allowed to actually mention the name of my specific broker-dealer, which is why I refer to them as my broker-dealer. Please don't ask me to. Again, for compliance purposes, no broker-dealer, investment advisor, mutual fund, managed account, insurance company, Zoom, or any other company besides the Securities Guys Inc. is responsible for any or in support of any of the material in this presentation. This is my presentation, no one else's. Today's plan is some of the Zoom tricks that I use. An overview of some of the programs that I use, primarily OBS. If you were in the first beta that I did of this last, I think Saturday, time sure flies. Last week when I did this, I didn't have as much prepared for OBS. I've got a little bit more prepared, including a slide with the actual links and instructions on how to set it up. I teach with Zoom. I don't sell, solicit, or recruit. I don't usually exchange control with students. I actually did a video yesterday. It's getting real weird with all of these different times and what and how fast days seem to go. I did a video yesterday and I put it on Facebook. I'll put it up in other places as well. Basically showing how to exchange control, what that sort of works with, and how that affects, or how you set that up. There are a fair number of people here. There are not as many as there were the other day when I had over 100 and I think 70 I hit, 178. We're at 45 right now. I will cover what I think is needed. Some may not know. Some may know it, and it's sort of review. I'll open it up for questions. I unfortunately do have a call I need to be at 3:30. So at about 3:15, depending on how questions go, I may have to end it. But last time I think we only had questions for about an hour, so we should be fine. So how basically to set up a Zoom meeting, how to schedule one for the future manually. I may do a video or I may do a lecture on how to do some of the automated Zoom stuff. When you start doing automated stuff is where you start really running into potential compliance issues. And because I do work with a number of different broker-dealers, I don't want to accidentally say something that could get students in trouble. So you may just want to stick to the manual stuff just because you can't really get in trouble if you're doing everything manually. A little bit of the Zoom interface from computer, the laptop, desktop standpoint, from mobile, from phone and tablet standpoint. The settings on Zoom, The settings on Zoom, I've actually gone and highlighted some of them because in the first run through there were a bunch that weren't useful. This time I sort of highlighted some that are more, I think, useful than others, and some of which I still don't really know what they do, so I'm not really going to talk much about them. And they say there are a lot of people. I will do my best to post and to answer in the chat. I did forget to keep that open. You've got this chat right here when you're seeing on my interface. Now, where did it pop up? Now I got to go find it. I may not be able to do chat if I can't find it. Oh, there it is. And I'll move it over to this side so it won't be in the way. So if people do want to say something during the meeting, do send it in chat. I will try and answer questions as I see them posted in chat, but it may be difficult depending on how everything is. I will keep everyone muted during the beginning, during the question and answer. I could get fun. When there were 100 and some people, it was quite orderly, quite reasonable. So it's probably not going to get as crazy as I was afraid it would. But that is my email address. I will be sending out a survey after class, basically asking what kind of other questions you might have on Zoom, things like that. If you want to contact me, Facebook, LinkedIn, carrier pigeons work, though I think they're hard to do and they may not fly far enough depending on where you live. As I say, there will be a survey to improve this presentation in the future. If I do decide I want to record it again, maybe make improvements to it. When you're starting the Zoom interface, it's going to look like this. I can go and actually open mine, which looks remarkably similar, except of course the dates changed because it was a different time. This is going to start a new meeting. If you've got the free version, I think it's just a random meeting number, and then you've got to send the invite. If you have the pro version or one of the paid versions, you're going to have your own custom code that it can start with each time. You can join a meeting. You can schedule a meeting. Now, when you schedule a meeting, it's going to look like this. You can name the meeting, put the topic up here, the time, the date, all of that. You can have the meeting ID generate automatically, or you can have the personal meeting. Now, I do the meeting generated automatically when I schedule a meeting because I teach classes and I don't want every single one of my classrooms to be the exact same meeting because then I may have people who click a link for one class accidentally at the wrong time, joining a different class because they just didn't know. And so I have my classes meeting in different rooms, but my personal meetings I have in my own personal room ID. Which I will get to what that does in a minute when we get to the settings. Now, I generally will start with my video and audio off because I will be doing certain. Yeah, there's a Google extension for Zoom. I don't use that. I think that's actually real easy. It integrates nicely with Google Calendar too. So if you're setting up appointments over a long period, it's definitely useful to have this. And you don't necessarily want the same meeting every single time with the clients because you don't want a different client accidentally joining a meeting with one. You've got privacy issues and all of that. So having the random ID can definitely be useful for those types of things. You can have where a calendar, where it goes. We go to the next one. There's some advanced options. I've never really worried too much about the advanced options. Record the meeting automatically. You certainly can do. You may need to check the laws of your state or locality, depending on if you need to warn the client, give them opt-out capability or not. It will show that it is being recorded. Now, I am recording this meeting, but the way I'm recording it is not through Zoom, so it doesn't look like it's recording. But if you go up, and I will actually demonstrate this real quick before I stop that recording, you can record on the cloud or on the on the computer or the cloud. Again, anyone watching this live isn't seeing me do anything, but the people watching the replay are going, oh, that's where that is. But if we record on the computer, which is where I like it, now everyone's going to see that Brian Collins has started recording. You're going to see that there's the record thing in this little status bar right here. And you can go up and then we can stop the recording. As I said, I am recording this in a different method than through Zoom. That's through Zoom. This is the basic interface as you're going to be able to see in the recording. You can't see it in the live because that's one of the things that Zoom does is it hides Zoom from your screen share. I'm sharing my screen, but you're not able to see Zoom. When I said earlier, and I had my initial meeting starting, and I pulled the one in and said it's going to look like this, just different dates, the people watching this live probably had no idea of what I was talking about. You guys didn't see anything because that Zoom interface is invisible on Zoom screen share. It's sort of neat, but it's not invisible when I'm doing my screen recording, so don't worry about that, or don't think I'm completely losing my mind in isolation, just only a little bit losing my mind. So this is the participants. You can see them over here. When you drag the mouse down, you're going to have the pop-up. When I do it, you're going to see, oh right, I'm in screen sharing mode. It's up here, and that's when you can see all the controls up here. Now, my system is a little bit more complicated. I have a lot more speakers and microphone cables to get what I need to do and get my live studio audience for laughing and cheering when I need some entertainment back here. So my setup is definitely more complicated. You're not likely to have this. You're going to need to figure out which microphone you're in, which speaker. But if you're connecting to someone who may not have speakers or a microphone that works on their computer, you want to make sure that you recognize this switch to phone audio. That's going to be right down here. Now what I just did is I'm using another trick. I have a phone. You guys can use an iPad or anything else. I have one with a stylus. It lets me annotate. Because if you annotate within the Zoom on the computer itself, you're going to have to close annotation before you can move to the next slide. Because I'm using a different guest account effectively, I can do everything I want over here and still move to the next slide if I wanted to, and then clear it here. So annotation is useful, especially with two devices. Now this video option I'm going to be showing you a bit more later when we get to OBS. Notice I have two additional webcams here. One says Sparko Cam, one says OBS Camera. The OBS Camera is the one that when we talk about how to potentially use OBS to do more interesting things, that's going to be useful in that setting to know where that is. When you click on an audio, the switch to phone audio, it's going to pop up a series of numbers, the meeting ID and the participant ID. You need to make sure that your client, your prospect, the person you're talking to, uses their specific participant ID. If you give them your participant ID, then you can't talk anymore. Yes, that does come from personal experience when I gave a student my ID and then I could no longer talk in the class. When you hit share, I was showing this earlier, although the live audience didn't see this, but when you hit share, you're going to be able to select which screen. As I mentioned before with the live audience, though again they didn't see it, my blue box here, the one up here, says that this is the right screen. You click on the share button, and then you go through there. This is in the mobile view. There are basically 3 buttons. This one here could be a lot more. If you're watching this now, it is more because there's more of us in here. But the idea is this furthest one to the left is the safe driving mode. I don't know why you'd be pushing the button. I mean, that's just sort of weird, and I don't get that, but maybe. But the idea is here you're pushing a talk. So if your client sees this screen, you just need to tell them to swipe. Now, if they swipe too far, you're just going to see videos. Now, here you're going to see with us, with the 48 people, you're going to see a lot of videos. There's going to be a lot of extra dots down here. But the important one is this second one, the one in the middle here, or the second from the left in when you're normally looking at it. That's the regular. Now, if you're just normally watching it, you're just sitting back looking at it, this is what it's going to look like. Now, if you tap the screen, you're going to get the options. You're going to get the ability to annotate on the mobile device. That's what this symbol means here. But you're also going to have the join audio, the start video. My phone, I always have the video and audio off because you need to hear me. You don't need to hear me twice, slightly delayed, and different pitch, a different angle, and that would just get very bad. Now, when you click on the join audio, again, before you call in via device or dial in, generally you want to call in via device. Phones and tablets, especially ones that have, I think, ever been made. I can't think of a phone or a tablet that didn't have speakers and a mic, whereas computers may not. But the phone and tablet are certainly going to. There may be problems. There may be a problem with the camera. The mic may have broken. But you want to dial in via device audio. Remember, you are allowing the device to record your audio. That's how it sends it to me so I can hear you. And your video, that's how it sends it to me so I can see you. So make sure you do accept those permissions. Some people, I think, reject the permissions and then don't understand why they can't see or hear us. Now, one of the things I discovered when I should have made a better fake picture of that one. One of the things I discovered when I was making this some of these slides, that if you accidentally get to this page, to this view, where one of your clients says that they can't see the screen is really small, but your face is really big. Maybe you've got a weird expression on your face because you're specifically looking up while trying to slide and take a screenshot on your phone, so it wasn't another picture of you going like this on the video up there. And apparently making a weird face while doing it. All you got to do there is just click on that button. All you do is click on it, and it's going to switch them back. That's all that does. So if you ever get into that situation. Now, these are some of the settings. Make sure which ones I was highlighting. Host videos. I have this one off because I, again, like to make sure that all my settings are sort of good before I come in and turn on. As some of you who've been in my classes or know, I've invested heavily in sort of special effects and control panels to be able to do more interesting things. Participants videos. This is one that, depending on what you find, you may want to have this also start us off. I find it's useful to be on because I like seeing my students. You're going to want to see your clients. If your clients don't have a lot of experience with Zoom, it may be useful to have this on. If they do, they may have some. I have seen people walking across the back topless. I have seen little kids running around with even less clothing on in videos, simply because when it's the background, you never sort of know what's going to be going on behind you. So maybe let the video start off just to give them time to make sure they have control of their environment instead of starting and then trying to get control of it. And maybe you see things that they may not want you to see. Join before host. Sure, why not? Let them join and wait for you. This is where you may want to be using your personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting. I do it for instant meetings. The personal ID for instant meetings, I absolutely do. Because when I start an instant meeting, that's what I do for tutoring. That's what I do for let me just help walk you through. Click button, go to this link. As I say, the personal meeting ID, I would absolutely use for the instant meeting, not maybe the scheduled meeting. Only authenticated users, I would say no to this. I don't think you need to force your people to get a Zoom account. I think that's what this means. I don't know. I'm reading this now. I may be misunderstanding this. Nothing to really worry too much about. I certainly wouldn't schedule passwords. I certainly wouldn't do anything with passwords or embedding passwords. I don't know what this is for. I've never messed with these. I've never been affected by this and needing the password, so yeah, I don't know. I don't use meeting passwords, so that's probably not useful. Muting participants on entry, I generally like it muted. Again, students come in, they may not have control of their environment immediately. Upcoming meeting reminders, I use Google for my meetings, so I don't want like Zoom Desktop and Google and everything else sending me a dozen reminders about the same bloody meeting. I have that, so I still get like 3 meeting reminders about every meeting that I have, but still. You got Outlook, Google on my phone, Google on my desktop. Yeah, it just gets annoying. The encryption you're going to want to check with your broker-dealer. You may need to have this selected. As I said, my requirements for compliance are different. I certainly don't need encryption. If you guys are dealing with contracts and things like that, you likely do need encryption. The chat options, sure, why not? Likely you're not going to be doing a lot of chatting with clients, but if you're running meetings, if you're running groups, if you're running training sessions, yeah, the chats could certainly be useful so people can chat and not necessarily interrupt. You could have a moderator who's answering the chat so the primary speaker can go while someone's moderating so you can keep the flow of the meeting online. Private chats, I mean, unless you're worried about people passing notes, and the last time I think people worried about that was high school, and that was really only the teachers who worried about that. The people passing the notes never seemed to care about it. So, I mean, if you don't mind the students or the people in the group, the meeting, talking to each other, what's the problem? As the comment that I got earlier and was talking about the Zoom extension on Google Chrome, that was sent privately to me by someone. It doesn't matter. Auto saving of chats, I think it's annoying, but I do it. So if you're dealing with that, you're going to get a pop-up every time you close a meeting, and it's going to be saving the text document. Feel free to delete that. Playing the sounds can get annoying, so I'd be a little hesitant on that, depending on how many people you have. There was a great, I think it was SNL or something, about how all webinar meetings are, and it's someone keeps getting kicked out and having to knock in and beep to join, and then getting kicked out and having to beep to join in, and it's like a live action webinar, and it was quite funny. It was like, I don't know, 10 years ago it came out, but it's recirculating. And so I don't have that because whatever, I can see people going. We're up to 52 people now. The file transfers, you can do it. I don't know about the encryption of this. Make sure before you transfer any files that you verify with your broker-dealer that you can transfer files in this method. Otherwise, you probably just want to use your encrypted email. You can send your encrypted email to hopefully the client's encrypted email, and then you can talk about it on Zoom, and you don't then have to worry about any potential compliance issues. Because trust me, you don't want to mess with compliance. The co-host is useful, especially if you're going to be running training meetings and things like that. The polling, allowing hosts to put meetings attendees on hold, sure. Polling, I think, is a more advanced feature. It's part of my package. I don't have the standard professional. I have a different version. I've got polling and some other features that I've never really used. I don't know what the purpose is, but whatever. Showing the control bar. This is what I think this is. I like it being I like it hiding. Now, again, the students who are watching this live, the people watching this live, aren't seeing me do anything. You may be seeing my mouse go to the top of the screen, but nothing happening. Those that are watching the video replay are seeing the menu coming down on here. So I don't like it full screen. I like it sort of hidden. Normally, I actually have it on my second monitor, but I wanted to make sure it was here because I want it recorded so people would see it. I'm assuming most people don't have 2 monitors like I do here. Screen sharing, yeah, that's I would assume rather important for what I'm assuming most people are here to watch and learn. Screen sharing, yeah, it's important that you can share your screen. Yeah, it's important likely for both to be able to share the screen. Now, I would recommend having it set up like this, that anybody can share. You can share with your clients. I mean, if you're calling and doing reviews, them showing you pictures of what their kids have been doing, or the artwork that their kids, or a video of their dog doing something silly, that builds rapport, builds bonding. That's useful. Them being able to share is important. But you being able to take over, because maybe they don't know how to end it, maybe all that. You also don't want them to, like, when you're in the middle of a presentation, go, "Ooh, I've got this picture I want to show you," and take over the presentation with them starting to share. So you want to make sure that only you can start, only the host can override someone else sharing, but that anybody can actually share. So this is one that I would highly recommend keeping just like this. Annotation is how I'm able to, as I say, draw on the screen over here. The problem comes, and I'm actually sort of glad I haven't had that problem yet, is that if you allow annotation, there are people who may start playing with it, as demonstrated here. You can see who's doing that. It does occasionally get a little annoying. Hopefully they can erase that so I don't have to, whoever that is trying to be funny. But it's a little bit, it can be interesting. You can have them circle things. Annotation is useful. Again, when you're on the computer, you go up here, you go to annotate. Again, people watching this live can't see anything. You're going to go to draw, and you can have this thin line there. You can go and you can have a highlighter. You can go and put arrows or squares. I've never do that. I always do the thin line. And you can go to color, the format. And you can go to different colors, different widths, and you can do all that. But again, what we're doing here is I'm drawing with my mouse, which, I mean, has a certain amount of flexibility, but it's not the easiest. I'm going to clear all drawings now. Close annotation. When you're in annotation mode like that, you can't move to the next slide. But when I'm in annotation mode on here with my stylus, so I can write at least as well as I can normally write, which is on a good day. On a good day, it's normally my handwriting is barely legible, but still, it's precise with the stylus. How am I blocking the text? What do you mean by how am I blocking the text? You mean with the purple and green boxes? Oh, that I did in the PowerPoint itself. That I did. I put boxes in there, and I put animations in PowerPoint where I'm clicking to advance the animations, and I see which next one is highlighted. Amando, the desktop annotations, yes. What I'm doing right now, you're going to watch the video replay of this and you'll see what I mean. I'm going to the annotate on my desktop. My stylus is out of my hands. I'm going to draw with the pen tool, the thin line. It's in blue and it's a medium thickness. Now I'm drawing on my, with my mouse. You may even be able to hear the clicking of my mouse as I'm clicking. Someone else is drawing that green. But this blue is me using my mouse. So, I mean, there's a great, clear my drawings. There's a great deal you can do. I mean, you can certainly do this. You can put arrows. But again, if you have an Apple, if you have a phone with a stylus, the precision of that, even with your finger on another device, even just drawing with my finger is still better than the mouse on the screen. And you can put your arrows and things like that. So the annotation has lots of cool features. We can also, as the host, you can go up here, you can go to more, and you can go to disable participant annotation. And now we no longer have annotation. I'll put my stylus away. Because most of the time the annotation for this, I think, is just to demonstrate the possibility. You guys can go and do that. You can have, if you want and you're really bored, you can do a Zoom call with someone and share a whiteboard and just draw pictures together for all I can. And that's what you can do if you really get bored. Annotation, whiteboard. Whiteboard again is included there. Why not? I mean, if you're going, especially if you're going to do annotations and you've got a stylus or again some tablet or a phone where you can use your finger, which is again likely better than a mouse. Continuing here, remote control. Yeah, that's yeah. That one's, what do I have? I thought I had that going to be, yep, there it goes. I had that flashing. That one's sort of important. That one's sort of vital. If you have that accidentally unclicked, you may run into serious problems. How to erase. Erase is going to be right there. When you're in the annotation mode, there's a thing that says clear. When you watch the replay, you're going to see it says clear. There's also an undo that lets you back up one at a time. You're going to be able to see that very easily, Marie, once you go in and watch the replay, and then you can practice it. I turned off annotations, so you can't go and look at annotations right now, but I can turn them back on. You can get a stylus set up for Windows because you can use like a Surface or some other touchscreen device. You can do it with an iPad and do it that way. The problem is if it's the device that you're hosting on. When you're in annotation mode, you're now in Zoom, not PowerPoint, meaning you can't advance in PowerPoint because you're drawing in Zoom. So that's why the second device, the second student, letting you draw through them means that you can still control your computer without having to close annotation and slow down. Because, for example, right now I'm in annotation mode on the computer. I don't think I can. No. Like, my buttons to go forward and back on the slides are not working right now. I can't advance. I have to go to the clear all drawings, and then the X to now close annotation. And now my slides... Why aren't my slides advancing? There we go. Now they're advancing. Now they'll advance because you got to close that. Nonverbal feedback, as some of you guys can notice, you guys can put yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down. I think there's some more that you can put. The coffee break, there's a time. I think there's a round of applause. How white works? What do you mean how white works? How whiteboard? A whiteboard is sort of simple. Whiteboard, I'm going up to new share. I'm clicking on whiteboard again. Everyone watching this live, you're not able to see me do this. In the replay, you're going to see it. I click on whiteboard. I go to share. There's a whiteboard. It brings up default annotation, I guess. So I can go change color. Do a little ugly rainbow, red, orange. Oh. And so you can go do this in the whiteboard. I don't really use the whiteboard because I do the stylus trick, so I have a whiteboard anywhere I want. So I don't really use that. But yeah, it just sort of defaults in here. You can go and you can change different styles. If you're watching the replay, you're seeing me going and selecting different styles. And I'm going to go to new share, and I'm going to go back to screen here. Good, Harry? Okay. Here's some more settings. The virtual background. Oh yeah, definitely do this one. People are having a blast with this one. If your computer's powerful enough, you actually can change your background. My background, not quite as easy as this is going to do. I use a green screen device. You do not need a second device for the whiteboard, Harry. It's helpful. It gives you more precision. You don't need it. But if you've got like a laptop and a phone, well, you have the second device. That's what I have. So, I mean, like that's my desktop is the primary device, and I've my primary phone. Now, my phone is a Note phone, which has the stylus built into it. It's one of the reasons I get Notes is because I like the stylus and the ability to draw on the screen. There's very little productive use for the phone otherwise. I may have found the only productive use for the stylus on the Note, but still, it's just the phone. I still remember when I got my Note 2, and they said that this phone's got two major problems. One, it's too big, and I remember sitting there and going, how in America is something too big? I don't think I've ever heard of something too big before. It looks like a brick on your face. Okay, everyone's doing huge phones now. And the other one was that the stylus adds nothing to productivity. And I'm like, it's fun. You can draw on your phone. Like, what do you mean? Continuing here. These are now at the bottom. These are the very limited... Oh. I will be talking with about the sharing in a bit. And it's not with a stylus. It's typing. Because we're going into websites and things. In this, we're starting to get to the bottom settings where there's not a huge amount here. The audio settings, sure, why not? Join from browser. This lets them be able to join without having to download. For you, you may not want to let this option, depending, because you need them to have the app if you want to give control and have them sign anything. Remember, nowadays, signing is by typing their name and social and all of that into the device with them having control. It's not necessarily pen and ink anymore. Allow live streaming methods. I live streamed this last time because I'm recording it and I didn't want any potential interference between the different video recordings and the streams like that. I'm not live streaming this one. I will edit this and put it up on Facebook, so they'll get it anyway. They just don't get it live. But you can certainly do that. Again, if you're doing training meetings, I wouldn't recommend live streaming private client meetings. That's not going to work well with compliance issues. Down here, email notifications. I mean, yeah, sure, whichever ones you like. If you like them, do them. If not, whatever. Down here, we're getting into, I don't even know what these things are. Scheduling privilege. This is, I guess, if you're with a team and you want, like, some of maybe your downline, some of your recruits, maybe your upline, your managers to sort of set times and schedules for you on certain things. That's, I think, how you can do that. You can do certain integrations as well with Zapier and Google and a bunch of other things. Exchange and control. As I was saying, I have a video of doing this with a student. Thanks, Kevin, for helping me with that. I'm not sure if Kevin is in today. He is not in here today, but he helped me yesterday. Wow, there's a lot of Johns in here. We could watch the video now. I think that's rather silly. We should watch it later. Ask me questions. If there's enough people who want me to pull up the video now, I can pull it up and watch it. But I think watching videos on this is sort of pointless. I try not to do it too much in my classes, but those are videos I made, so they're useful. So I know it is beneficial. But I'd recommend watching that later and see if you have questions on that. When you're talking about exchange and control, you need to be on a laptop or a desktop. I don't believe pads work. I think it needs laptop or desktop. Your client, your prospect, your recruit, your whoever you're talking to can be on a laptop, can be on a desktop, can be on a tablet, can be on an Android phone. Can't be on an iPhone. iPhone requires additional service called TeamViewer. Oh, I don't have the ability to annotate because I took that away from everybody else. So we're going to do like this. That is called TeamViewer. That is an app that you can get for Windows, Mac, and certainly iPhones and Androids. And that will also let them take over control of your screen so they can enter the information. But unfortunately, in the Zoom iPhone app, it does not have the capability to control screens, but Android does. Drawings. I can't show you how to exchange control easily. Again, I could go through and exchange control with the student, but no one watching this would see what I'm doing. That's why the video is more useful, because again, it's seeing it from the actual view, not from what Zoom is going to be showing you. I recorded doing with a student, again, thanks Kevin, and that's what I created the video with. So take a look at that, and once this is up, I'm going to put basically both the videos together. But I think I put that video up on my Facebook. If not, I will make sure I go and do that when I finish this meeting today. OBS. This is my special effects to a certain degree. I actually use two different things. You are going to want to keep them to a minimum, at least you are when you're dealing with students and clients, but there are lots of cool things to check out. Now, Open Broadcaster software, it's free. It allows you to control the video feed into Zoom. If you look at my video right now, you see that my video, I'm in front of this nice little plant thing. Well, that's going to change shortly. But you can see that I can also shrink myself down. I'm now in a little bit of a corner. I can also go and I can pull up. Are they going to let me, or is my button box going to be misbehaving today? Apparently it's misbehaving today. There we go. Oh, stop that. Well, you get to see my special fireworks. So now I have the presentation behind me. You guys can see, you actually can see at the top, you can see the Zoom box that you couldn't see normally on the screen. You see my video over here that's doing the wonderful little video and a video and a video and a video ad infinitum over here. But this is a way you could do this so you could give a presentation without having the split screen effect. Without having that little box that might get in the way. Now, the way that I'm using this is, as I think I mentioned, I'm sitting in front of a green screen. That's why this box can basically go behind me and you don't see my little plant, which looks giant now. I'm going to close screen sharing now to show you what I mean in a bit more detail. Now let me close the chat box as well. Let me move it over here. Oh, can I not move it out? Pop out. There we go. It's moved over here. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. Okay, I can't do that. Oh, wait, where are we going? Close this. One second, need to force close my button control panel because it is missing. This. Open it, and then everything should work better. But as you can see now, I'm in this little bottom area. I'm going to go and move my zoom out of the way. So now you can't see zoom interface, but when I go and I turn back on the technology, cause and solution of all of my problems. This should be showing my desktop behind me, but clearly that's a problem, so we're gonna stop with that part. But the idea here, I'm gonna go and share again. I'm gonna show you the zoom interface. Now my zoom, OBS interface. This is the video that you guys are seeing of me. Now, yeah, there's this big green block behind me that you, for some reason, don't see. Don't know how that's possible. I use a different program, one called, what did I call it? SparkoCam. This, as I mentioned earlier, when you go in the video, I mentioned that I have OBS and this other one. I'm on SparkoCam now. That's what gives the nice green effect that you see behind me of the cool plant. I could go directly to OBS. Now you're seeing my green. But I can easily go, and I've got all different backgrounds here. Are these going to actually work? So I could be in my bookstore. I could go to that plant area. Oh, my buttons aren't working again. Hey, we can go to this book area. We can go to the Temple of Athens, Temple of Delphi. But you can also go and you can put the presentation behind you. You can go and you can put your brand logo. Why is this not working well? Again, I normally have this in the buttons. There it goes. They're just a bit slow right now. Go and turn this off again. Punish it for disobedience. But you can go and you can put a logo. You can go now work behind. You can have books behind you. OBS needs any type of solid color. Now I'm going to maximize this. Now the way my system where I'm sitting actually looks, we can go in here. We can go to filters. I'm going to take off my two chroma keys. This is where I'm sitting. You can see my chair moving. You can see that I have this green background here. Do I have my cool green tablet to show my... Oh, no, I don't know where my green tablet... There it is. And I can show you my green tablet here, that when I go and put chroma key back on, it disappears as well. Now, any solid color can do this, so you can get a more professional look. Again, just don't do too much. You don't want to be distracting. We're back in share, just making sure everything's good. I pinned and spotlit my video. You can do that. Where is it? It's going to be over in here. You can go to, it's at the right click. Oh, where is the option? When you see the three dots, you can pin and spotlight, which means that only my video is the one that's getting seen when anyone has the video. That's what I mean by pinning and spotlighting. You want to Google Open Broadcast System. It's going to be obsproject.com. It's free. Play with it. What's the worst that happens? You play with this cool piece of software and then you don't do anything with it. The thing is, though, you do need a virtual cam. All you got to do is Google OBS Virtual Cam. As far as I know, OBS runs on Mac, Windows, and PC. Mac, Windows, and Linux. You do need some power. You don't need a huge amount of power, but you need a reasonable amount of power to do a green screen effect. Putting your logo or putting things like that likely isn't going to be a problem, but if you've got a low powered computer, it may not work that well. Okay. But you need the virtual cam when you're in OBS. It's the tools. It starts automatically. Virtual cam is what allows me to be able to send it to Zoom as my webcam, and it replaces my webcam. Shameless Plugs. Jeff and I teach classes for the SIE Series 6, 63, 26, and 65. Each class has different options. We have animations, posts, replays, and pictures. We have flashcards. The printer that I currently use is unfortunately closed. They're in Pennsylvania, and they are not considered an essential business. We are looking for alternatives when inventory runs out, but I do have a fair bit of inventory as it currently stands. We also do individual tutoring. Understand that what we do and how we do it may be changing to reflect the changing environment. So hopefully we'll be able to figure out a stable schedule, but things do change quickly here. This is our contact information. That's my cell phone and email. That is Jeff's cell phone and email. That's what I'd planned before I open up and unmute everyone. Okay. Oh, well, everyone's unmuted. Hold on, that's too much. We're gonna... Everyone's muted, and now we are letting people unmute. Okay. Cancel. That was a little bit loud there. 1 second before I get to that. I was asked, do you need to be on Zoom to open OBS? They are totally and completely separate programs. OBS is actually mostly used for, like, if you've seen video game streamers, people who are playing like their video games and you see them sitting in this weird looking chair with the big headphones on and they're playing and talking and doing stuff while the video game is also on screen. You see what they're seeing. That's what OBS does. It's generally more for streaming than for the recording aspect that I use it for. But I basically take streamer technology and use it for what I need. Any other questions? What kind of questions do we have?
Replay.
What?
You got this on replay, I assume.
It will be. I'm recording it, and it will be on replay.
Thank you.
Where do we find it on replay?
I will be putting it on Facebook. I will likely be putting it on Vimeo, and sending the links out on Vimeo as well. And it'll probably be on my website and YouTube. I figured I'd probably just stick it everywhere.
Hey, Brian. Daryl.
What's up?
I got 3 questions. At the bottom of the screen, I see a share screen, and at the top, a button, and then right by the chat. And at the top of the screen, I see view options. You drop it down, and it says request remote control. So which one of those two do you use with a client if they needed to digitally sign something? Are you using share?
The issue is right now, remember, you guys are not the host. I'm the host. When I'm looking at this, I see remote control. When I click remote control, I'm going to go down, and I'm actually going to give Daryl control. Everyone watching this live isn't going to necessarily see this, but I'm going to be giving Daryl control. Wait a second, Daryl. I'm going to open up a very official document that I had saved here. Again, due to compliance purposes, I can't use any official websites or documents. But now my computer is saying at the top, waiting for Daryl to control. All he has to do is basically touch the screen. Daryl's now controlling my screen. My hands are up here. This is where I will take the time to say that I'm not typing anything. I can do this, and that'll have a cool effect later. You guys aren't going to see it live, but I'm going to have fun going and doing some kind of special effect to whenever I snap and see what happens later.
So you tell the person you're giving them control. The host gives control, and that'll be, if I was hosting, I would see where that's at. I just can't see it because I'm not the host right now.
Correct.
Okay. When you did all the part on the setup, that was extremely helpful, doing settings. And so a question I have is, do I have to do that every time I do a Zoom?
No.
Or is it a one-time thing?
It's one-time thing. Every so often I go in and look to see because they add new settings, they update Zoom, they change that. But no, once you set those settings, you can change some of them in the actual Zoom when you start the meeting. If you notice, I'm going to take back. Once you're sharing screen, you can go back, and at any time you can go and abort control. Now again, the people live didn't see anything there, but the people watching the replay will, along with the cool special effects every time I do. That one I think is going to be cool. Want to set that one up for later. Where was I here? I'm going to back up. Oh, no, not that one. Hold on one second. I still want to answer this question.
Sure.
I didn't do that. Hold on.
Notice that when you were doing all the settings, at the end, is there a thing that says save settings or something, or just?
Yeah, you can save it. But if you notice this here, the video and the participants, this is from the settings that I set manual. I can go and change this on this specific meeting. Just like the meeting is generated automatically, because that's what I have on my general settings, I could have this use my personal meeting. I have them set on telephone and audio because that's from the general settings. I could just specify this as any of the others. So some of these come from the master settings on Zoom.us, but they can be changed quite easily in this interface right here. Okay, that answered that question, I think.
Yes, thank you.
There was someone else who was wanting to ask a question while. Okay, what's up?
Hey, Brian. How do I invite multiple people for a recurring meeting every week at 6 a.m. or do I do it individually?
Oh boy, I definitely don't do recurring meetings. I think it has. Let me go. You guys, unfortunately, live are not going to see this, but I'm going into schedule.
Okay.
And I think you have the ability for recurring meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you can do recurring meeting. That one, you may have to actually set recurring meetings from Zoom.us. And then you can go and you can put email addresses in. You also can likely do it with the Google. There's a Google plugin, Google Calendar, Google Calendar, Gmail plugin that works with Zoom, so that when you make the event in Google Calendar, you can make that recurring, make it a Zoom event in there, and put your Google contacts there, and then they're going to get the automatic invites, and if you change the meeting, they're going to get it. So I would probably use Google and the interactions there rather than Zoom directly.
Okay.
Other questions?
Brian, I think you mentioned something about your videos you do in Vimeo. Is that correct?
Yes.
And but if I was inserting a video, could I insert one from YouTube or anywhere else, or do you know?
What do you mean? You mean like go and watch a YouTube video clip with a client?
Right. Or with a group, small training group or internal use.
Now I will go and demonstrate. Now the one thing that I do have to warn about is as I said, my system is overly complicated, so I need to go and make sure you guys are going to be able to hear this. But we're now on YouTube. We can go take a look at the security. Ooh, 240 people. Cool. So you can go and look at, we can go watch this. Now the one thing here is you're not able to hear it. I hear it. This issue, you've got to make sure about the sound settings. This is why I had so many of those audio cables. I can talk about it later if this is something that you really think is likely to happen. But I can go and I can pump it. Oh, no, that's right. I turned my buttons off. So I need to activate the buttons again, and then I can turn on where I can click this button, and then you're going to start hearing it because I have it where my computer sound is wired into my mic.
We actually will have two units, one on the basics of bonds.
So that's a issue with sound. Now, if you're playing it loud enough where your computer speakers are playing it and the mic can pick it up, that works.
After that, we're going to
But to get high quality sound through is going to require a little bit of
and then we're going to be moving
technical
into municipal and
workarounds.
corporate issuers of bonds. Continuing with security.
Without the additional equipment, a person can't play videos where the other people can hear it.
I wouldn't say equipment. All of it's digital. It's not like it's, and I think some of it may even be free. You may even be able to get it's a digital audio cable basically.
Okay.
My my sound system looks like this. Now, when I say something, you can clearly see that my sound's over here and over here. This is for funny effects. When you guys say something, you'll see that your sound is right in here. When I go and play any one of my special effects, you can see that sound is right here. When I go and play YouTube,
going to be discussing
well, that's one's right here.
Rights and warrants, but more on the options, the puts and calls.
So, I mean, can get a little complicated, but if you have a good enough speaker, you can push it through your speakers and it'll be picked up by the mic. That's how I used to do it, and it worked fine.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's try it, get someone in your office to do Zoom meetings with. Try seeing about what happens if you play the sound loud, if they can hear it. And if not, I'll try and look to see if there's an easy how-to I can find it or write up on how to get people to do that. At least on PCs. I don't know how to do it on Macs.
So is that a Zoom issue that you can't hear it, or is that a YouTube or Vimeo?
No, that's a computer sound issue. Because generally the way it goes is if it was you and me, you hear my mic, I hear your mic. I hear your mic through my speakers, you hear my mic through your speakers. I hear my computer sound through my speakers. You're not involved in that at all. I need some way of redirecting that computer sound back to you.
Okay.
And that's not difficult, but it's also not necessarily trivial. So I'll try to see about finding some way to write it up so it's simpler. Because you guys aren't going to need the setup that I just showed you, because you're not going to have sound effects and students and having to combine all of that like I do. You just need basically that you hear them, they hear you, and both of you hear your computer.
Last question I have is, are you familiar with a product called Loom? I just stumbled upon it today. It's like Zoom, but with an L.
Loom's a video recorder, a screen recorder.
Right.
I've used it. It allows quick sharing of it. It's neat, but it's recording. It's not sharing.
Okay.
And mine, I use OBS for my recording because I just have it set up in a way where it does everything that Loom does, and I've got a lot more control over it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions?
I have a question.
What's up, Deb?
When you're sharing, like yesterday, I was sharing the flip with a client and a presentation, and then I forgot to add something else into it, and it wasn't on my original little share screen. So is there any way to get something to that, or does it all have to be open behind you in order to be able to share it?
I mean, I can go and like close this and add something to the presentation here and then reshare it. I could conceivably go and I can have it like this where we're in this presentation. I'm going to pause share right now. I'm doing the exact same thing I just did.
Okay, so you pause.
Adding
share.
something. I put back the slide, and now when I unshare, you see the change, but you didn't see me make the change.
Right. Okay.
Anybody watching the replay saw me make the change.
Okay.
But anyone watching this live saw it go from okay with everything here to but now change just sort of blinked into existence.
Okay. So you can add other things to your to what
Correct.
you're sharing. Okay.
And you just, again, want to make sure, because otherwise you would have seen me go like this and add but it changed. and then click on the share again, and then go back to where I was.
Okay. All
So I
right.
mean, like, depending on the person you're meeting with, it may not bother them to see you do that. Just get me the information. Go pull up the other slide. Then people make mistakes and forget things. Go grab it. It's fine.
Okay. All
Some
right.
others, if you want it to look more professional and or perfect, you're gonna want to pause it and go and do that so you don't show your messy desktop potentially.
You pause share and then go to what you want and then come back to share again.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Sorry, I missed the chats went away over here. Who did that one? I did, Charlie, I log in as a phone as a general participant. I made myself co-host here because I thought my phone may have to help with admitting people until I found out that I can auto-admit. Even as a participant, it's fine, but it doesn't need to be a leader. We already did that. Khadijah's answer. We already did that one. And there. Good camera. I use a Logitech. I think it was 110 when I got it. I think I've seen it lately for like 78 or 79. I mean, it's I think semi-wide screen. It's got a built-in speaker system. A microphone. I mean, I don't use that. I use a what is this? A Blue Yeti, which is seemingly standard streamer tech. Again, I use what streamers use, just differently. I did the YouTube video. Yeah, Charlie's mentioning about adjusting the audio sources. That's exactly what it is. It's just I'm aware that a lot of my students aren't necessarily that computer knowledgeable. And so I'm assuming a lot of the people here don't necessarily know what I mean by adjusting the audio sources and making sure you point them in the right direction. So that's why I want to find like a how-to or a step-by-step guide to make it sort of easy and minimal risk of breaking the computer, kind of. Not that it's going to break the computer, but my contact information, Brian at the securitiesguys.guru, and my cell phone. Oh, I probably should have put my Google Voice number if I'm publishing this everywhere. Oh well. Other questions? It is right, I did have the contact slide. In OBS, what you're going to want to do, Steven was asking this. I'm going to stop sharing again. So now you're just seeing my video. I'm also moving my video off screen. So now everybody who's seeing the replay is going to get a little more confused than the people who are live here. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn back on, where's OBS here? Wrong one. I'm going to lower my screen to the bottom. Lower my video to the bottom. I'm then going to pull in my desktop behind me. Oh, it's supposed to be there. I don't know why it's not. Just look. You see it now. Yeah, now you see it. Okay. Stop that. So now this is my screen in front of me. This one here, you can see the screen. You see me down here. Again, I have a green screen, which is why I can go in front of this, as opposed to if there was the background, this would be solid. Gotta remember where it is. This rectangle here would be solid background. So you gotta be careful with that. But you can go and you can pin the conversation. So although it's gonna be a little awkward here, so that you're just seeing me. And I'm down here giving my presentation. Let me move this back over. I can go change the slides, and you're going to see them right up there behind me. And you're doing that, basically, share again. I have my desktop here, which is showing desktop 1. I have my video here, which I can change the position of. And so you can do your presentation behind you. You just gotta basically minimize OBS so it's not being recorded if you're on a single screen. Yes, you can go and you've got all kinds of settings. Oh, wrong one. You can go to filter. What is it? Oh, where is it? Is it this one? I don't even know all of the filters. But I thought there was a way of lightening it up. As I say, I don't know the filters, but yeah, you can adjust transparency. I've done that with my video, I just forget how. Is it Luma key? Well, it's sort of doing something there, isn't it? Is that it? So you can go and mess with them. As I say, I don't know all of that. It's not the area that I've dealt with in OBS, but as you can see, you have these things we can have. I mean, I can have it scrolling across. I mean, like, you can go and I can start giving people seizures. I mean, like, it's just sort of weird. You can, oh, let me stop this here. 0, 0. Lots of fun things to explore, and it's free, which means it doesn't cost you anything to play around with it. The way I pull OBS into Zoom, I'm going to go back and show you back here, is I'm using it as my output video. So instead of the video cam being my Logitech webcam C930E, which is the name of my webcam if whoever was interested, the C930E, instead of this being my webcam, which if I went and did that, is that going to even work? What's going to happen if I do that? That's what I thought. Because my webcam is being used by OBS, it's not letting me take it over here. Did I break it? Nope, there we go. I'm back. Where'd I broke it? Let me go back to an OBS, not Sparko. How do I get rid of the 900 contacts already in Zoom? I don't know why you have contacts in Zoom. I don't have contacts in Zoom. I don't know how they got there. Be careful. I do have another meeting coming up. I think I still have time. Yeah, I still have another 30 minutes before I really need to head out. Thank you, though, for keeping an eye on that, Daryl. Kim, it may be worth trying it out. What you're definitely going to want is you're going to want to make sure, where is it? You do need the both of these files. Where is it? There. Next one, isn't it? It's these two. You need both of these. OBS is what gives you can record videos in OBS, record like this kind of effect. You can do all of that in OBS. But if you want to project it, you need to create effectively a virtual webcam so that a program will look and go, oh, you have your Logitech webcam and you have this OBS webcam. You want to use OBS webcam? Cool. Let's use OBS webcam. And OBS combines your webcam with other things to make its virtual webcam. I don't know about contacts in Zoom. As I said, I use Google Contacts as opposed to Zoom. What's up?
So the virtual webcam. So you need an actual webcam to use that, or
yes. I mean, you need your video. I mean, No, I mean, technically OBS you can put videos into it and different sources and have different things. You don't need your video, but the purpose I thought was you're gonna do you're gonna have a webcam and we're improving that. But so I mean you don't
Right.
technically
But
need it.
would
I
the
mean,
pixels matter at that point? Because my laptop is dark. Everything's real dark if I turn it on.
what do you mean really dark?
Watch, I'll turn. I don't know if you could find me,
No,
but
I
I'll
mean
turn on.
the if your screen is really dark, that's not gonna have any effect on what others necessarily see.
Check this out. So this right here, that's, I don't know if you find me, but if you see, I'm feeding on two, and then my laptop uh video is very dark compared to my cell phone video.
Trying to go and find you here.
So I'm on my cell phone, it's
I
awesome.
see you.
Laptop, dark. I don't know if you can see the difference.
Huh.
So
Your cell
my
phone's
question
good.
was,
I mean, it may be.
yeah, my cell
It
phone
may
is good.
it may be that cell phone cameras are really good these days. You also that is something else that's been pointed out. I have spent a rather large amount of money on my Hue lighting system. I just spent even more money on 2 key lights because of the importance of making sure you've even lights and things. And these new webcams, these new camera phones on these cameras are, ooh, they are remarkable. And so that certainly could be the issue, is that you just have a better camera, a better low light camera on your cell phone that balances it out better than you have on the laptop.
Copy that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. When I'm doing the I have someone asking about my registration feature. That is something I did not show live this time that I did last. On Zoom.us, if you're going to create a meeting, I'm in my meeting here, we're going up here, we're going to go to meetings. I'm going to go to schedule a new meeting. Meeting names. There's more options here than when I'm in my app on the desktop, including registration. This is not an option when you do it on the computer. This is what gives that meeting ID. When I do this, let's just create, I don't know, I'm going to delete this. We'll create it out in August. So when I go here, generate automatically, again, all of this comes there. I don't know meeting password, I never do that. My standard things here. I have the ability for breakout rooms. I don't even know what that does. I'm going to save it. It now opens up that meeting room, and it has the registration URL. Now I took this registration URL into Bitly because that makes it a nicer email address, a nicer web address, but you don't have to. And it goes and tells you how many people have done, and you can go and view, and it'll tell you the registrants, their email address, when they registered. Other questions?
So you can capture the list of people who registered afterwards so you know who attended.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw you could click on it, but is there a way then to export that out into a follow-up email, or how does that work?
Well, this was the meeting. I don't want to, actually, I don't want to go and show that one because I don't want accidentally to give away other people's email addresses. The last the last one that I had 500 in there. And it's a big list, and you copy and paste it page by page.
Whoa.
It was if you get the right selection, it's copy, you go into Excel, paste, you go back here, you hit next, and it's still selected copy, paste, next, copy, paste, next. It took me 5 minutes maybe to copy the 500 names and email addresses. So I mean, it's not that much fun, but it really wasn't that difficult. And then I have the list of email addresses, which is, if any of you were in the first class, you know I sent you the follow-up, I sent you the survey. I'm going to send the survey again today. I did add everyone to my mailing list, but you just click the button at the bottom, opt out, and you're done. and you basically self-blacklist and you never get it again, or ask me and I'll remove you from my mailing list. I send out mailings once a month, maybe. But yep, you definitely collect all the emails.
And so I noticed there were two types, like right now that shows there's 37 participants at the bottom of the screen. At the top, it was showing so many call-ins before. I don't know where that went, but so do you only capture those that are participants at the bottom?
No, I collect their registrants.
Registrants, okay. Oh, that's
I
true.
mean, there were I think 48, 49 people in here. I'm not gonna click in for more detail. But I had 134 registered.
Wow.
So I have 134 names and emails I'm going to send the survey to, because let them know I'm going to send the survey out basically once I've finished editing this video, which hopefully I'll be able to get to sometime today. And I'll put that out, and I'll make sure that I send a link to everyone who, all 134, including that 90 that registered but weren't able to show up.
Or maybe they showed up by phone, and so it's not showing as a participant.
It would have shown as a participant via phone on my at least on my account. The phones show up.
Okay.
Oh, let me go and turn this back to my more normal video that I like.
What's the option of why would you use the option close registration after meeting date? They can't get into it anyway after the meeting date, can they?
I don't even know. I'd never even noticed that. I had 492 people registered by the start of the meeting on Saturday. I had 502 registered by Saturday evening, which is after the meeting. I was at 512 on Sunday. I had another 10 people register on Sunday. The meeting was Saturday. And I had 514 on Monday. So I had 2 more people 2 days out. So I mean, like, I didn't get it. I sent them the email too about this class, and I'm gonna send everybody the email about when this video goes up. Maybe that's why they registered. They just want to sort of get on my list for for updates on this.
Well, thanks for doing it.
Yeah, you were welcome. Other questions for me?
Brian, can you use the phone through the computer as the camera?
Not as the camera, as the audio.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't call in. Yeah, I don't think so. No. Not unless there was some way you had your phone basically hooked up to your computer to function as a webcam. And I think you can do that, but I don't think there's really like a good reason to. Other questions? Sounds like no. So play my usual goodbye song, because I think it's appropriate. It was a pleasure seeing you guys. If you guys have any questions, as I say, I'm going to be sending out an email in the next day or two with the link when this is done. Let me know if you have any questions. I will talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful day.